What's up everybody, Ramey here, and today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do a belt squat with a lever arm. I'm specifically using the Titan Fitness lever arm system designed for the X3, but really any kind of lever arm should do this just fine. I'm going to show you my setup, show you how I do it, talk about all the equipment that I use to actually do it to make it so that it's actually good. The first thing that I'm going to do though is I'm going to show you me doing it. So let me show you me doing just a couple real light reps just to kind of show you how far down I can go and all that good stuff and give you some tips to do everything. Then we're going to get into the setup. All right, let's go. You can see I'm just going down real far just to show you how far down I can go. That's below parallel right there. That's about parallel, that's below. Just to show you how far down I can go. All right, now that I've shown you how to do it, let's talk about all the equipment and setup and how to actually make this a good, effective exercise. All right, so my setup here is pretty basic. I really haven't done too much, but first thing that I have, equipment-wise, is I have a belt. This is just a generic belt that I bought off Amazon, D-Moose. I really think it was like $20, $30. Pretty generic, came with a chain, and has worked for my belt squats, and a bunch of different other exercises. So, cheap belt, first thing that you need is a belt that's gonna work, whether it's a good one or a cheap one. All right, so that's the first thing that you need. Next thing, you see I've got, obviously attached to my squat rack, but I have a lever arm. Now the Titan Fitness lever arms cost around $250, roughly, maybe $300, between $200 and like $350, depending on if you get it on sale and all that stuff. But any lever arm from Rep, Rogue, certain companies sell actual belt squat lever arms. I recently saw one on Amazon for like $60, $70. So you can get these for pretty cheap. So besides that, clearly you need some kind of weight on the thing itself. But what I've done on a lot of lever arms, this post right here is actually facing sideways. I actually have my post facing up. I actually have my post facing up for every exercise I ever do with a lever arm. I find that having it to the side is never an advantage. Plus, if you have it to the side during a belt squat, when you go down, this would actually hit. So when I do it like this, the only thing that hits the bottom is my lever arm itself. Other things to think about when you're setting this up. Next, how high do you want to put it on your squat rack? You need to kind of play with it and adjust it a little bit because there is an arc here. That's kind of the problem with lever arms, is that there's an arc. So you don't want this up too high or else you're going to be doing like an arch. So you almost want it to where like the mid part of your squat is about like flat, because that'll give you like the least amount of forward and backward motion of an arc, but you kind of have to play with that on your specific setup, how high you want to do it, but I suggest playing around with it. The next thing you do need, I'm not a big fan of a belt squat without holding on to something. I really like holding on to something as I do the belt squat. It feels a lot better. I'm using a safety spotter arm. I just put my hands right on my safety spotter arm. You can use a dip station, or if you have nothing, you have nothing. But I really suggest having either dip bars, safety squat bars, or something else that you could hold on to. I could probably even just extend my pin and pipe out like this much and just kind of hold on to that if I really wanted to hold on to something. But I do personally like holding on to something. The other thing that I think is super important is the ability to start high off the ground. So you want to start standing. You don't want to start on the ground. It's a big complaint people have with the lever arms or the landmine when they're doing it, is how do I start above? And obviously if you've watched my video with the landmine, I've shown you how to do a landmine belt squat starting standing. I do the same thing with my lever arm. I start standing. How do I do it? Well, the first thing is that you need something to stand it on. So what I've done is I actually just had some 2x4s and I put 3 of them together just to make a little like kickstand. And basically it's the kickstand. As soon as I stand up a little bit, I just move my kickstand out of the way. And then when I'm done, I simply put it back. Very simple, very easy to do. So you need some kind of kickstand. This is what I'm using, just a piece of wood. I could actually use the chair that I'm sitting on as my kickstand. I'd have to make sure it would support the weight that I would want to use. But I can load and unload the weight on my kickstand. All right, and I have checked this, like this is a pretty stable kickstand. I've loaded some significant weight on this to test it out. It's pretty good. It's not, the kickstand itself isn't actually going anywhere. Why? Because the lever arm doesn't really move. It's not really going anywhere either. So unless it was like falling like this, it's still not even moving at all. It's not going anywhere. It's actually very stable, surprisingly. All right, and then the final thing is you need a place to connect your belt to your lever arm. So what I've done with these Titan lever arms, they actually have an end cap on them right here, like when you buy them. Just pop that off. It's just a piece of plastic. No reason to have that thing. Don't even know why they have it there, I guess for looks. And what I did is I just put a pin right through the lowest hole and connected a chain to it with a little connection pin, with a little hook. I just connected this to the pin with a little chain. So I just put a piece of chain right here that I can connect to. This is a solid like 3 to 4 inches up here, this pin. I would prefer it to be down more. So I was thinking about drilling a hole like maybe like 2 inches in on this, but I don't need to for any reason. I've tested it. The steel isn't, there's no real disadvantage to doing it like this. But all I've done, and I'll actually take this apart. Now I've used a pin here. You can see it's just a piece of chain. But you could, if you wanted to, also use a screw if you don't have a hitch pin. Just simply hand tighten it. Put it in, hand tighten. Now clearly the belt squat, the lever arm that you're using needs to have side holes, but if it doesn't, you can use a drill. Any drill is going to drill right into the steel. 11 gauge steel, you're going to go through it. Not super easy, but not difficult at all. I'm probably actually going to put a hole right in here so that I can move this pin just a couple inches forward, but that's just my preference. I don't need to. And that's my whole entire setup. Pretty simple. This is with the Titan lever arms. I paid $222 for these. And I basically got 2 belt squats out. No, I did, but I really only need one. But I use them for other exercises. But it's a great belt squat. How does it compare to the Landmine? I think that they're pretty close to one another. I think it's a nice belt squat. As long as you set this lever arm up correctly, especially if you have something to hold on to, and you can set the height nice for yourself, I think it's a great option. I can go down as far as I need to. If you, for some reason, if you're really tall, and I do have long legs, you could always stand on something here for the belt squat to go down even further if you needed to. You could put like, even put like two 45s right there, 2 bumper plates or whatever to stand on just to give yourself a few more inches if you needed to, but I think most of you are probably going to do okay without the need to do that, but it's a great exercise, effective, simple way if you can't do regular squats or you're trying to burn out or just do some accessory exercise. But any lever arm will do this. It's just a matter of figuring out how it's going to work. As I said, worst case scenario, if there's nowhere to put a chain down here, just drill a hole through your lever arms. And that's how you're going to do it. I'd be curious to hear how you all have set it up, so let me know later on.